Rangers, we're about to crash! And I was also Rita's trusted assistant, Scorpina. Woo! And I also worked as ADR voice director for the show in general. It's great to be here.
Hi, first off, I just want to say I'm honored to be in the presence of some of the most powerful, inspirational women out here. So thank you. My question is, I asked this kind of for the Time Force panel yesterday. So, all of you ladies, well, except for some, have gotten action figures made of them. So I want to ask, do you own any action figures of yourself? And a little part to that, would you like to see more girl-inspired Power Ranger toys more catered to the female?
I do.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, yes, and yes. I had huge muscles. I was big. I was built. No, I do have yes to all of it. Yeah.
I have a little one like that big that I keep on my dresser just because it's just awesome. It reminds me like, yay, this happened. I have an action figure that's awesome. And then 100%, like I always had like a ton of girls come up to me, like little girls, everybody, be like, I want more toys of you, like I can't get them. And it's like the boys have all of them. But it's cool. I think, hopefully one day we'll have more toys.
Ditto.
I have a little one that's about the size of not even my thumb. A little circuit. And I would love to have more. It'd be awesome.
And it would have taken too much plastic to make them. No. I didn't even know that I had a trading card until somebody gave me one. And so if the fan who gave me 2 trading cards yesterday for my children is here, please see me afterwards so that I can send you a thank you note, because that was so generous, and I should have asked for your name and address at the time. Yeah, so I had a card.
Well, I think the craziest thing of all is that Empress Rita had no action figure.
What's up, Vendee?
But luckily for me, Dion Espinosa is a wonderful, talented artist and fan, and he made me my own action figure for myself. So I have one now. I think Orbis and Sprocket may have had some, but I don't have any of those. No? Orbis did. No? No, and no Sprocket either. I do have a flashlight as Rita.
A rubber flashlight.
Okay, I'm a little hoarse because this sounds so awesome. But I want to ask you all, this is pretty and powerful. Who has been like a role model to you? Who's a pretty and powerful role model that you had to want to inspire you to become a ranger? Or said characters?
I said yesterday at the cast and crew panel, and I just want to reiterate this. Those of you who say Mrs. Appleby, she was never Mrs. Appleby. She was Ms. Appleby, a feminist, hardcore. And she was and is a woman who loved her own thing. But I think that for me, there were a series of large-size actresses because, there's not a lot of work for large-size women. Not a lot of real work for women in particular. Fortunately, all of these beautiful young women fall into that role of eye candy, which you get put into so much. But that was the lovely thing about Power Rangers, I think, is that Power Rangers gave girls some really powerful role models that said, you can be beautiful, you can be feminine at the same time kick butt. And all of the girls who played those roles did it so well. But, you know, thank you guys for doing that, because you gave my daughter the opportunity to be something other than a wuss.
I just want to say that my family, I'm the youngest of 3 daughters, and my mother, who just passed away, she was a wonderful role model for me as a strong, intelligent woman, and a lot of these women know her. And my sister Carol was a real kick-ass woman. I just sort of, kind of, a little bit my sister Carol. Kick my ass. And my sister Janice. And other than that, I mean, there's so many beautiful women actresses that are, you know, so intelligent. There's Susan Sarandon, Meryl, couple of those guys. Conchata Farrell, yes. I can think of others, but I'm going to pass it on.
Well, I usually get little boys, so I would have to say Scott Page Factor, my nephew Ian, and my other nephews Daniel and Noah, and one on the way. And you know, I grew up with 2 older brothers, so I kind of had to learn how to kick butt on my own because they used to grab butt. Now we can grab butt. But anyway, no, you guys, I mean everybody, you kind of just pull from whatever you see and like that.
Yeah, same. All the actresses, the amazing, you know, the Merrills, all the, Sandra Bullock. Oh, Sandra Bullock, she's awesome. But I was raised by a single mom as well, and she's so charismatic and awesome and just strong, and so that was a big source of inspiration for me.
I'm going to second all of that. They're all awesome. They're awesome for saying all the awesomeness.
In my life, I would say that it was my mom that really pushed me and just told me to just reach for the stars and live out your dreams, and you know, nothing is stopping you from doing what you want to do. And so I went with that, and that's how I grew up. Susan Sarandon, I think, is an excellent actress, so I would put her in that category as well.
No, I have to agree with you, because I was going to say exactly what you said. Because I grew up in a teeny tiny town in the middle of Texas, in the middle of nowhere, where I grew up like throwing cow patties, you know, in the pasture. Yeah, seriously, we had like cow patty, you know, contests. And it was so far removed from what I wanted to do in my life, which was to come here and be an actor. And it was my mom that the rest of my family wanted me to become a dermatologist, and I just was not going to do it. And, but my mom was like, you know, you need to pursue your dreams and do whatever you need to do to get to where you need to go. So I drove my little tiny, you know, beat-up car out here in the June in like 102-degree weather to come out here to be an actor, and had no idea what I was doing. But it was really the foundation that I had with my mom to say, you know, you could do it, you only live once. You know, don't make a backup plan, don't make a second plan, because then you're not going to succeed at your first. So, you know, live your dreams and do it now. So I'd have to say my mom.
Yes, I totally agree. I think now I'm a mom, I have a different appreciation of my mother and the sacrifices that she had to make to give me every opportunity she could. And I'll always be grateful to her for that. And then my first memory, and this is not because I'm Australian, but Olivia Newton-John was like my very favorite. I mean, I just wanted to be her. She used to channel her. I used to dress up like her. I went to my first formal at school, which was a Western theme, and I went as her from Greece. I just wanted to be her. Anyway, stuck again. Yes.
I grew up at a time when women were really just coming into their own power as businesswomen, and I too had a very strong, independent single mama who always had a minimum of 2 jobs and just really supported me artistically from the very beginning. She's always been my greatest fan, and she really empowered me with believing in myself and made me promise her I would never wait tables. That I would be a working actor, and it's exactly what I've achieved. And she really helped me. She told me don't learn typing skills, don't learn how to wait tables, just keep following your artistry and what you believe in and what you do best. And the TV shows I used to watch, That Girl and Mary Tyler Moore and Carol Burnett, and beyond that, Tracy Ullman and Wonder Woman and Catwoman. And then I draw from them with my superhero voices. And I'd say today Kate Blanchett and just so many women. Isadora Duncan, going back to breaking all rules of dance and getting on stage barefoot and just breaking all the rules and raising the bar and just following those spirited women that had behaviors that one would call unattractive for a woman but completely acceptable for a man. So neutralizing the playing field of being able to raise the bar, push the limits, try things that haven't been tried before, and that's what we encourage you to do too. So thank you, that was a great question.
Question? My question was, you're also pretty and powerful. Who inspired you?
Well, I have to say, I'm really, really grateful for my mom. I was raised in Kuwait, in Arabia, and at a time where a lot of people, I think, that thought that really, there wasn't a lot of equality for women. To this day, we struggle. But my mom was a Scot who left her little village in Scotland and went in the 60s to a world where really she entered a place where she was the only blonde person that, in her view. So people looked at her sort of like she was a creature, they were fascinated and all this. But she had the strength to leave everything that she knew behind and embrace this other new exotic world. And she actually grew to really, really love it and appreciate, the incredible differences. And there's something, I don't know, my mom is just, she's an incredible woman. She embodies everything in terms of, she's the embodiment of strength and grace and beauty, and I think that I aspire and dream to be like her. When I grow up, I should be like her.
When I grow up, I want to be a ranger like you ladies.
Oh,
Thank you.
Two questions. One for Brianne Rose. This person was just, do you have any special memory of playing circuit or the voice of circuit that really stands out? And the other is the Captain Sutherland, which was just, did you find it ironic that you were playing a character named Cat?
Circuit is just special to me. Kind of came quick. Scott Page called and said, get over here now. You've got 5 minutes, because they're basically doing it now, and I went and did it, and it was just it's such a gift. And then I also got to work with Erin between Walla and Barbara, and it was just fun. And I also did some of the locations on the show. So part of that was being able to watch the filming and be out there managing the location, seeing some of the things that were going to come up in terms of Walla and our voices. And then going back into the studio and record, and I don't know, I just love circuit. Thank you.
Yes, when I got the audition and saw that it was Catherine, I was like, "Ooh, maybe that's a sign." So it was fun because if they said, "Cat, we need you," it was like they didn't have to change the name. It's easy for them.
What's been your most memorable fan experience? Have you ever had a fan come up to you in a positive way, tell you it changed my life forever in a positive manner?
Thank you. I have a funny story first. I went to one of the first conventions I'd ever been to, and honestly, certainly Barbara and Bree and I, who worked together for many, many years, we didn't really know there were fans originally. We were quite surprised. I certainly was shocked to find out that we had many, many fans. So when we finally had an outlet to go to conventions and meet some of you, I was in the first year of AFO in Florida, and so I was checking into my room, and I just didn't connect that fans would identify me being behind the scenes so much. So I was checking in, and all of a sudden I heard these girls screaming in chorus, "We're not worthy." And I'm going, "Oh my gosh, these fans are really we're excited, this is going to be great." And I turned around, and they were all bowing to me. So that was shocking, I mean, I started getting tears in my eyes. I was laughing and crying. It was fantastic. I have had some wonderful experiences of people telling me that I was the impetus of why they wanted to become voice actors, and you know, my response is always, we're actors. We're not just voices. You know, the process is the same thing for acting on screen as a narrative project, doing your own lip sync to picture. You know, the process is still creative. It's still the same thing. You're looking for the characters. You're slipping into their shoes. You're living in their lives, and you get the opportunity. Oh, fantastic! To actually have more than one life experience in this human. Amazing blessing of being physical. So yeah, there's been some pretty amazing moments I've had with people personally, but I have to tell you, I get an awful lot of fan mail where people say the most moving things, and I can't tell you how it can make your day when you receive one of those messages when you're in an ebb, you know, or a slower period in between jobs. And you know, it may seem very glamorous what we are and what we do, but there's a shadow. There's a yin and a yang to it. There's a positive time when things are really great and you're celebrating and all that you get to do, and then there's all the times that you're hoping you're going to work again. And you know, even at this point in my career, I often wonder, you know, what my next job will be. We're quite independent. You know, we're free agents and we sacrifice a lot for what we do, and that means we have very little job security at all. But my long-winded dissertation back to the question. Yes, I've been really, really blessed by some wonderful contact with the fans. Thank you.
Okay, the one that stands out is probably the first one, which was a fan letter, which was a woman, a young girl actually, who said she grew up with Katie the Caterpillar, which is something I did 100,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago. And she said that it got her through her childhood. And that was very impacting because, you know, helping somebody go through, help them through a tough time. And even just today, somebody was saying that they IMDb'd me and didn't realize how much a part of their childhood I was because they didn't know how many characters I played, and that affected them in their growing up time. So that was very touching, and just being with all of you is marvelous, and I thank you.
You know, I have had what I call a small career. Large-size actresses do not have a great deal of opportunity in a town that really doesn't believe that large-size people have lives. Excuse me, well, I get a little political here. You know? But I was very fortunate to sort of fall into teaching about the same time that I did Power Rangers. And I am a teacher now, and I teach full-time. It's not one full-time job, it's 2 part-time jobs. But what has amazed me is I've had so many fans say, and first of all, that I have fans amazes me. But say, you know, you were my favorite teacher when I was in school, and it means so much, guys, that you remember my work. I just really appreciate it. And hopefully my students at the college and the high school think that I'm a pretty good teacher, too.
business side of it because they just glamorize the stuff. So I came and I did the Power Ranger stuff in Circuit and different characters, and turns out my little friend, he wasn't very popular, but it was really sweet because I was very honored because by I guess the end of that week, he then became very popular, of course. And it was really wonderful, and it was a teacher like yourself who wanted to have someone like myself come in and talk about the good and the bad of things and how education is important. And fast forward about 15 years later, or excuse me, 10 years later, he is now going in the Army, going in college, and he just wrote me a thank you letter. His name's Erin, and he just wrote me a thank you letter saying thank you very much. I inspired to help him, you know, and it was his teacher, and it was just a wonderful thing. So thank you. I hope I'm making sense.
Yeah, my mom's a teacher. Same. I'm just so flattered that I have fans every time someone recognizes me or I'm just honored by you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, same thing. Sometimes the letters I get from like all over the world really amazes me, and it's like sometimes totally like in broken English, so I'm kind of like piecing it together in my mind, like what they're really trying to say and have come across. But I love coming to these things and being a part of it and talking to everybody, and it just makes me so happy, and I'm like smiling the whole time. Everybody's like, "You're so happy," and I'm like, I can't not be because this is so amazing. So I'm very proud to be here.
When I first started the show, I thought it was kind of cheesy that Kendricks, being an intelligent ranger, had to wear glasses. And I kept saying, can't you be intelligent without the glasses? We're supposed to be in the future, don't they have LASIK surgery? So I was a little upset about it. It was kind of annoying wearing these glasses. My eyelashes are here to get stuck on the rim. And then this little kid came up to me and said, I'm so happy you wear glasses because you make me cool for my school. And ever since that day, I was like, I'm such a jerk. I can't believe I was complaining about this. And because I impacted his life, he impacted mine. And I did not complain a day after that.
I don't know if you ladies remember on your sets, but on our set on Masked Rider, we used to have children that would come from the Starlight Foundation. And kind of like an emotional video about it. But yeah, it was sorry. Yeah, it was like their final wish, you know, to come and see us. And I remember being so, I know, so touched by it and how emotional it was to have them come and see us. So, I know.
Yeah, I'm as I said, I'm a mother, and so my life feels very small sometimes. And when I'm very new to this whole convention thing. I had no idea it was going on until last year. And kind of stepping back into that world and going, wow, these people really love the show, and they're actually writing to me and thanking me. It feels very kind of surreal to me. But one story in regards to the Make-A-Wish Foundation was it was my first season, and this little girl, Danielle, was dying, and she was 10. And she was so inspirational because in the middle of all of her pain, she actually took the time to come and see me and hold me and tell me that I had impacted her life. And that was so moving. And then her mother, control yourself. Her mother ended up sending us a whole bunch of stuff in her grief to thank us, and what a gift that was to us to be able to be a part of her world. So thank you for that.
Listening to all these stories, it's just amazing. You know, I was on the show for a very short time, and it was a truly, truly wonderful experience. And at the time, I do remember grumbling about getting into that makeup with the mask and then pulling my 3 yards of hair through the hole in the head mask, thinking all this training for this, you know, and my mom rolled her eyes and all this kind of thing, until the Make-A-Wish Foundation kids came up. And I have to say, it was the most humbling day of my life. This little girl came up, and she was so tiny and so delicate. And she said that she wanted to be president of the Alien Rangers. I said that I would, anything she wanted. If she wanted me to speak in tongues right then, I was prepared. That was a very humbling day. And I think we all should, how wonderful to have worked on a show where the producers or whoever was in charge had the vision to bring those very special babies to see us, whose last wish it was to meet Delphine or Kat, or how lucky we are to have been part of that. And thank you, God, for this beautiful gift. Thank you.
I just wanted to add that for some reason on our sets, we were constantly bringing through different cards and photographs and memorabilia that we were signing and giving to different foundations for children constantly. So it was something, it was our little give back we got to do. I really started to look forward to it. There was a folder we keep in the studio particularly. I was like, oh, who do we get to sign for today? Who do we get to help have a better day, a better moment? And so I think on a very positive note, the Saban Productions were very good about that. And they have gone on to build a children's wing at the Children's Foundation Children's Hospital downtown. So Power Rangers really did give back an awful lot. And I think especially the on-camera cast had a great opportunity to do that on a regular basis. So you guys can feel good that you were a part of that too.
What a blessing. Thank you.
I'm Fire Rangers. The colors were usually pink and yellow for girls, occasionally blue, white, or silver. If you could choose any color, no matter if they were a ranger or not, what would you choose?
I wasn't a ranger, but I've been called a red freak, so mine would be burgundy.
Yellow.
I'm sticking to my white baby. Thing. I love that whole feeling of elevation, white, I'm the center. I'm okay with that. I stick to white.
I wear a lot of blue, so probably blue.
And he's smart. I liked how smart.
I would say probably, because our show had the first multiracial family on Fox Kids ever, I'd say probably Color the Rainbows.
I was just happy to be pink. I liked the color, and I had that in my wardrobe. I'm good to go.
When I started telling people, oh, I'm gonna be a Power Ranger, and everybody would go, oh, you're pink? And I'm like, no, I'm yellow. And then it got to the point where like I started to know Z and my character, and like Z's the tough girl. She's not pink. There's nothing pink about her, and I really started to own that as Z. So definitely yellow, 100%.
I have to say, I love pink. I loved it, love it, truly. It's part of who I am. And I get put in pink a lot on my other shows I've done. I go to the wardrobe fittings, I'm like, I'm probably gonna wear pink. But red's my favorite color. Don't tell Jason Bond. Plaid. Plaid.
I love purple. A purple ranger, it's the color of the third eye, the higher imaginative stuff. So.
Well, when my son was 5, he's 22 now, he would look at me and go, Mommy, why are you the bad guy? Why can't you be the Pink Ranger? If it were up to me, I would have been the Lilac Ranger.
Looking back now, y'all can see that you've inspired an awful lot of people as great role models, even when it's so good to be bad. When did you realize that you were such role models for so many small children and girls to grow up to be more than they thought they could because you did it?
Well, mine was because we filmed in New Zealand, so the whole time that we're filming and doing everything, and it even started to air in the United States, I had no idea what was going on, I wasn't around my family, nothing, so I didn't see any of the impact because they don't show it in New Zealand. So when I came home and I was home with my family, my mom had like all the kids from the neighborhood that I grew up in, and like all the little ones, and they all were like at my house, like waiting for me, like to sit, and like watch the show. So like we all hung out for like an hour and like watched all the episodes, and it was just cool because it's like I'm finally back home. I'm with my family, which was like awesome after 9 months of not being with my family at all. So yeah, that was pretty amazing. Just hanging out at my house with like the neighborhood kids, chilling, watching Power Rangers. It was like, yes, and they were like, that's you. So that was awesome.
Sure. Just for me. Same thing. I grew up in Virginia, so going back home to Virginia and seeing little kids and little girls be so excited and be so,
blown away. And of course, the Make-A-Wish, and just it's always the kids. It's amazing. And then seeing, you guys growing up 10 years later, it's so cool because we've had a relationship, but we just our first meeting. So it's just incredible.
Just real quick, it's kind of like what Wendee was saying and Barbara. A lot of times we're behind the scenes, so we don't really see the impact, and it still amazes me when you hear and see, children and people coming up, and it's such an honor. I have to say, in terms of working the locations, it was fun seeing. It was easy to get locations because their kids are, 4-year-olds or 6-year-olds. You can use my lawn, you can come out, and it was just fun watching them come out to see you guys, and that's.
Yeah, for me, when I was doing Power Rangers, I was also partner in a story theater company, and we traveled around doing children's shows in libraries and at festivals and residencies and whatnot. And I can remember the first time after Power Rangers went to the top of the bullet, the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, that we walked into a library and some little kid went, "Oh my God, it's Miss Appleby." I was a day player, so I didn't think it was that big a deal because I was just there occasionally, but you guys are great fans. And look at you all grown up out there.
Early on, the funny thing for me was we did some kind of fundraiser. It was me and Goldar and Lord Zed at Target or something with Babu and Squat, Michael Sorich and Dave Mallow. And what was funny for me was the mothers would come up to me and say, "Oh, I love Rita. It really is such a release to hear her scream." And I would bond with them and say, "Yeah, I know, it's helping me get through menopause." Started coming in, your fan mail, then you kind of realize what's going on because you're just shooting every day your episodes and you're kind of oblivious, and then all of a sudden you start getting a few and you're like, "Oh, somebody actually liked me on the show. This is great." And I've saved every one of my letters. I have them in this little notebook, and ever so often when I'm feeling kind of low, I'll go through them and I'll keep them and I'll go, "Wow, I'm so glad that people liked my work."
You guys, I totally remember I impacted my grandpa because one time my grandpa and I were watching TV and he looked at the TV and he goes, "Look, there's an Oriental person on TV." And I go, "Grandpa, that's me." And he was so shocked, like he couldn't get it. And what I thought was really cool though is because when I was growing up, the only person that I saw that kind of looked like me was Connie Chung on NBC Nightly News. And so I kind of feel like it was kind of neat that I had an opportunity to do that. My son on the show, who's sitting right there, is African American, and I just thought it was a really great opportunity. But I've also had, did you ever get letters? I got these strange letters from people like wanting me and Nefaria to wrestle in Wesson Oil on TV.
To double your sentiment there, it's very weird when we're shooting because when I was on anyway, we would shoot sometimes 4 episodes in a cluster, and you're just kind of in this delirious state of just shooting. And I came on kind of towards the middle to end of the 3rd season, so I had no idea what was going on. They were so huge at that point, and then all of a sudden, I was at the movies one day, oblivious, and a few people ran up to me, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, like, what are they talking to me for? What are they doing?" So it's a real honor to when you realize that people like you, So especially when I was replacing Kimberly,
Well, I'm not exactly recognizable, I hope. The voice is very, yeah. fishy. But it was, I was used as the cool factor for my 8-year-old neighbor because, you know, she would go to school, not so popular apparently. But, I don't know, adorable kid. But she actually had some friends over to, you know, my neighbor's a Power Ranger. They're like, no, she's not, she just has a fish head. So I had to prove it, you know, I did those big thing with little sign thingies that I came from yoga, the whole thing, you know. And I have to say, you know, the Make-A-Wish Foundation, I mean, I didn't realize it at the time, you know, when we were shooting. It was just a great deal of fun, great an acting job, woohoo. And then you start getting the letters. And the pervy letters, what are those? The pervy letters, folks, you know, like the guys are like, we're going to jail. I don't want to be in jail.
A lot of jail guys. I guess they didn't have much to do.
Yeah, but you do it now on the internet. You get a little graphic, but we do it clean here, folks.
I was pretty closely associated with the writing, at least on the post side, for adapting, especially the Japanese scenes that were coming in, and we were having to merge the modern footage with the stock footage that we were using. So it was always a huge writer's focus to make sure that our position as role models was honored and was forefront in the writing. Sometimes to the point where we felt it was a little squeaky clean, but we understood the responsibility that we had with all of the children, and it was sort of clear to us, even before the show had the ratings, that it was going to be very successful. Not right away, but pretty early on, the way things were starting to gear up, especially as we got into season 1, getting ready for season 2. So we really did have a very serious, sober sensibility about the responsibility of being role models. That was really very, very much reviewed and kept consistent throughout production. But an aside, personally, I had a funny story. I was at a bridal shower for a friend, a baby shower. And there were some children there, and I saw a little boy who was about 6, and he was running around the table with his Power Ranger shoes on. And so I said, hey, and I kept trying to get his attention. I said, do you like the Power Rangers? Mm-hmm. I said, oh, I see Alpha on your shoes. Do you like Alpha? Yeah, and I said, he likes you too. This poor little boy just went, and started screaming. He was traumatized. He didn't expect that voice coming out of a woman. So I learned to be careful how you approach children.
Now, I know you did the voice of Circuit and Time Force. However, I noticed you did a lot of voices at the beginning, when Mighty Morphin was around. And, okay, here's this question. This episode is about I Guy. Now, it was years later before I actually heard it, but you seem to do the voice of Billy's prodigy in the I Guy episode.
Help me.
Yeah, because a little version of Billy. Yeah, it was like a little version of Billy, but I think there may have been something wrong with his voice, and he may have done something that does it to be a boy's voice.
Oh, possibly, because we do that a lot. Yeah, possibly. And you always feel bad about that, I have to say, because, you know, then they watch their episode and they don't hear their own voice. But Wendee, like, you'd know.
Yeah, I think I directed you on that. I think we had a problem with the actor being available to do his own ADR, his looping. So we decided that we would just redo he didn't have that much dialogue, as I recall. And so sometimes we'll do that, especially with children. Children can only work a short work day legally, so they're only allowed so much time in the booth, and often we leave that to the professionals, people like Brianne.
I wish I remember that. Thank you, though.
Thank you.
Candace. I was 14, so I'm a math writer, and I
here, but I'm a writer, man.
That's right. That's right.
Everybody recognizes you as Delphine, I recognize you as Brianne.
Actually, you're the second person today. No, the second person today was thought I was Sophia.
Really?
They trained, yes, actually the guy that I was going out with also trained Catherine. The best trainer in the world. Yeah, you never know what the result now. But he trained also, he trained Sophia. She was an incredible martial artist. But they worked together for a short time. Catherine did. I worked with him as well.
I want to ask you,
Rajia. It's okay, Delphine.
how did it feel after when you guys were on set of Power Rangers? How do you feel? You guys feel, for Candace, how did it feel after that?
Well, I have to say that, going into a show, you know that nothing lasts forever, and you're very thankful and happy to be working. But it's also kind of nice when things end because it gives you an opportunity to go on with your career. And I immediately took 2 months off, and I went to New York, and I visited friends that lived there, and I had a wonderful time doing nothing. I just sat around and did jack, and I loved it. And that kind of really helps to clear your mind. And then I came back to LA in a really good frame of mind, and I pounded the pavement, and I hit the ground running, and I think that's what most actors do anyways, is we spend most of our time auditioning, and people don't realize that. I mean, it's so wonderful to get a job. It's almost like the icing on the cake. So I felt great, and I had a positive experience with it, and we all just kind of go on. So.
I have to say, I'm really blessed. I'm always doing something I love. It doesn't matter what it is, I end up just loving it. So I loved working on the Power Rangers as Delphine. Just loved it to bits. But I also loved, right after that, getting sort of taken away to do spokesmodeling around the world. I traveled all over the places. I saw many countries, all kinds of people, oh my God, like Sahara, nomads, living with them out there in the middle of nowhere, camels, you name it. I mean, it was incredible. I just loved traveling the world and, expanding sort of my horizons in my mind. Came back here, was really lucky to get into voiceover. Somebody heard my voice on a show. I think it was Power Rangers. I don't know how, because of that gurgling. But apparently they liked the voice enough where, I was called in to do something else, and from there it's just snowballed. And I do that for a living, and it's afforded me to do lots of other things, and just recently back on camera. So it's been a really blessed life. I'm very, very fortunate. But thank you for asking. I really appreciate you. Thank you.